as luck would have it, today is the day I was going to swap strings out. So I got a set, Rotor Sounds. I'm super happy with these. I'm going to put them on and I'm going to show you the difference between a set of strings that's done, you know, kind of 6 weeks worth of gigging with me and a brand new set. I've got the tone nearly all the way open to try and get the attack that the new strings have got just inherently out of old strings. So this is 6 week strings. So a lot of guys will tell you that they hate changing their strings because it changes their tone. Now, yeah, it does, and it's supposed to. But keeping the fundamental and the strength in the fundamental of your note and all of the harmonic content only happens with new strings. So you find a lot of guys are running a huge amount of EQ or a huge amount of compression or whatever, just to compensate for the fact that they're using 8-year-old strings. And everyone will tell you that strings are so expensive that they, you know, can't be changed. Well, you know, at what, 30 bucks a set, 20 bucks a set online, if you're doing 4 gigs a week and can't afford a set of strings every 6 weeks, something's wrong. Well, a set of strings online is like, what, 20 bucks, 30 bucks, and totally worth the investment, I reckon. I'm a big one for polishing frets every time I change my strings. It does take a couple of minutes, but it is life-bringing into the instrument and into the life of your frets. Now, if you do this every time you change strings, you'll find that your frets last twice as long. A fret dress might cost you 450 bucks. A nail polisher or loofah or whatever, I don't know what they call these things, but you know, $4 and 5 minutes of your time. I've got a mate who's been through, in the length of time I've had this instrument, it's not had a fret dress. And I've got a mate that's done a refret and 3 fret dresses or something. Now at kind of 500 bucks a spin, he's spent two grand or whatever, and I've spent $4 on a, you know, nail, what are they? Emery board, on an emery board. Yes, the girl at the chemist thought I was a bit weird, but worth every cent. So, after I've polished my frets, lemon oil. There's hundreds of different kinds out there. Everyone's got a few bottles of it because it lasts forever and you lose it and you buy another one and then you find the old one. This is Mick Harron's board sauce. Mick's a great guy. The board sauce is really good. He does a bunch of other products, but this is the one that I carry around on me. I just give it a bit of a once over and let the lemon oil, it will not only clean up all of the grub marks that I've just put on the actual rosewood, but it will seep into the rosewood and keep it hydrated so it doesn't crack and shrink and all those things. Give it once over, rub it all in with my fingers, because, you know, you're not having fun unless you're making mess. Give it a minute to sit and soak in. And then, with some kind of rag, give it a good solid once over. And the board, my board's generally pretty clean because I do this every time I change my strings. But I think you'd be quite surprised by the amount of gunk that comes off a board that's cleaned regularly. The biggest reason I polish and clean as I go is literally just life of the board, life of the frets, and wanting to not get stung by needing a refret. Right, now that was actually brand new when I pulled it out of the bag today. So all that gunk has just come off a board that was cleaned 6 weeks ago. Now if you've never cleaned a board on your bass, can you imagine how grubby it actually is? Again, if you love it, love it. While I'm here and I've got that lemon oil, the residual lemon oil on the rag, I give the whole bass a bit of a once over. Again, not going to change the tone, but it looks pretty. I'm running, where's the packet? I'm running Rotor Sounds. I tend to buy in bulk. I tend to use the same strings. It takes a little bit of convincing for me to swap out of brand, but I'm really in love with these Rotor Sounds. A lot of bite, a lot of body, and you know, that's what you want from strings. That's what I want from strings. It's interesting to see on like all of the when you get online and you ask the computer or you ask Google what order you should change the strings in, and everyone says, oh, one string at a time because of the tension on the neck. And look, cool, I'm sure you know your mate or your guitar teacher or whatever told you that, but there is a steel rod running down the neck of your guitar to keep it straight. The strings, yes, it's all, you know, counterpointed, and the amount of tension on that steel rod is balanced against the pulling power of the strings. So if you're putting the same strings on, it's going to end up in exactly the same spot, unless there's some external fact or factor like the weather or whatever, but that was going to happen regardless. So take your strings off altogether, clean your fretboard and put them all back on. Do it properly. Wire snips. And somewhere along the line, and I've never run into an issue, but somewhere along the line, someone told me that the core of a string and the rounds around the outside sometimes don't marry up perfectly, and sometimes the core will slip inside the coil and you'll have tuning issues and problems. But by bending the last little bit, even if it slips, it won't slip far after the tension of winding it all on. I tend to give myself a couple of knuckles of length past the head that I'm going into. The reason that there's the hole inside the machine head is so that the string can anchor in to the headstock of the instrument. And we go around. hold it to the bottom, so as it winds underneath where you're winding, and tighten the sucker up. So with the strings that don't have a string tree, which, so your E and A don't have a string tree on a 4-string, and your D and G do, that string tree commands the break angle that you want. It's really important that you make sure that as you're winding onto the machine head, that the winds go above where your string enters the machine head, not below. If they are winding below, you'll find that your break angle's not enough and your bass won't stay in tune. If they're below and it's designed properly, your break angle will be great, your bass will stay in tune. As much as I would love to have perfect pitch, I never go out without a tuner. They will be in and out of tune a little bit for a day. But so, new strings, clean the board, all those things, all of the geeky shit. And it now sings. It's come to life in a massive way. The whole thing's tighter. And I've got my tone wound pretty much off, not all the way off. So that means, well for me anyway, I've now got a whole bunch more tone that I can work with, rather than having to turn it up to find that tone. Strings, that's how and why. Keep it clean, new strings, lots more fundamental, less compensation from the instrument and from the amp. So you're closer to your 0 point, you're nice and relaxed, comfy, and you don't burn yourself out. Go out, get a set of strings, keep your gear clean, and I'll see you next time. Oh, that was not smooth. For some reason, I feel like Huey from Huey's Cooking Adventures. I don't know. I'm just going in circles now, aren't I? My knees. Keep your shit clean. I shouldn't say shit, should I? Cut that, and I'll go, these are new strings.